Go ahead and get this training meeting started. Sergeant Cobbler, if you could start time for intro.
Hi, my name is Dan Truex. I'm a first lieutenant. I'm currently the commander for the 940th Military Police Company. Prior to that, I was the executive officer for the 617th Military Police Company, and I've had about 24 years in now.
You 2 minutes, just give me, I've kind of already talked to everybody prior to this, but obviously we want to do this efficient, prepared, so please have names for me, take notes as needed. Keep in mind that I will send out an updated version of this training meeting agenda with notes I keep in real time.
Training meetings start way before the training meeting ever happens. So starting with the UTP is absolutely critical. The UTP feeds into that actual training meeting. You already have everything planned out you're going to do. The training meeting is just making sure that it's fully resourced, it's fully staffed, that everything constraint-wise is identified, and that from there it goes into developing and feeding into the op order. So if you do run a training meeting well, you're going to build a great op order, and you're going to do it very easily, very efficiently, because you'll already identify those tasks of subordinate units, you'll identify those other coordinated instructions. But ultimately, training meetings are making sure things are fully resourced, identified. You're covering the 5 W's and how you're going to do things.
Immediate concerns, comments?
Sir.
Go.
Lieutenant Jarrett, whenever you decide whether it's going to be here in Walton or if we find a 5K that's local, as soon as you know, let me know, because I'm going to have to request a bus, and I have to get that.
So here,
started.
I guess my guidance on that would be go ahead and request the bus.
Okay.
Because we're going to do it somewhere. Even, do what?
Regardless, just get a bus.
Yeah, here's my thing. We'll run a 5K. Whether we just do it in the park or somewhere, we'll probably still need a bus.
Roger.
So request the bus. Yeah, let's just make that time now.
How I run a training meeting, essentially it's going to start with, one, starting on time. Shouldn't take more than an hour. Generally it should take less if it's efficient. I assign a scribe and I assign somebody to time, and that's very important. Sticking to those standards and that timeline lets everybody know, hey, be engaged for an hour, and then from there it's not going to last longer than that. So you keep their full attention, but you start going over it, you start losing them. So being efficient is extremely important.
Quick from last drill, I've gone through them. The comments from soldiers, I have a couple highlights I want to discuss. And we'll go from there. Sergeant Call for 5 minutes, please.
I do something that's kind of atypical in that I include our after-action review for 5 minutes at the start. And what I'm looking to identify is previous training ARs, what issues or items to improve did we identify, and how are we going to close the loop on those? How are we going to actually implement those within training? From there, we start the 30, 60, 90, and I actually go out to 120 days. The most important stuff is it starts with the 30 days out. And I take 25 minutes. I'll have the timer reset for 25 minutes at that point. And I go over in depth every event we're going to cover.
Quickly to cover, I have 4 non-negotiable things that happen every single room. We do some sort of weapons training. We do some sort of LDP or NCODP. We do some sort of PT, and we do some sort of, or not some sort of, we do PMCS, right? Those 4 things happen every drill period.
From there, we'll move to 60 days out. On 60 days out, I spend 15 minutes. I don't go over 15 minutes. And again, it's just making sure that those things are all identified, not quite to the level of detail that I covered in the 30 days out, but again, just making sure that we're still on track to do it. From there, we move to the 90 days out. I spend 10 minutes on the 90 days out, but again, I'm looking at the same things, but one of the key pieces I really want to identify 90 days out is who is the assistant instructor, who's the instructor, who's going to be teaching this. That gives the leadership within this meeting time to actually go to those soldiers and say, hey, you're teaching this class, what resources do you need, what do we need to do to make sure this is fully executed. It also gives that soldier time to, or those leaders time to actually plan the training on drill time. If you start sending this stuff home with them, creating homework, sometimes that causes issues, or you don't get the quality product. So we make sure we want to give them 90 days out to plan their training, to do it on drill time, and to do it the right way, with the understanding that they'll be briefing myself, the first sergeant, the training NCO, or I should say back briefing us on the 8-step training model. So it gives us time to, again, I say it over and over again, but there's a reason for that, to do things the right way.
Okay, next up for June. June is actually a very full IDT, by the way, just going through this. We have motor stables. I have instructor and assistant instructor for that as Sergeant Ass and Specialist Butts. A, do you know if they're tracking that?
They're tracking that, sir.
Okay. Please have Sergeant Ask him. I know he's new to us. I really want him to understand what kind of my intent behind what motor stables looks like and where it accomplishes. And I haven't been able to talk that through with him.
Roger, sir.
We'll do that in the Walton area. We're conducting that on the 11th of June at 1300.
When you come in command, you're not going to just walk in at the magical time and you get to develop your first UTP and roll right into that. You're going to probably come in mid-cycle. So developing a complete and full understanding of both that UTP, what the current or previous commander's kind of vision for the company was, and how that is going to be, how you're going to build on that is absolutely critical. So getting a clear understanding of the current UTP and then how you can incorporate that into your vision for the company is extremely important. The second part is don't turn this over to somebody else. Run your training meetings. It's absolutely critical as commander that you understand where the company is going and that you're making sure that you're on top of it. You're not going to be able to be at a lot of the stuff that you want to be at. You'll be pulled for this or that. And so understanding those details and who is doing what is it's extremely important.
Leadership, very simply defined, is getting people to do what you want them to do. And that's in the context, obviously, of Army policy, doctrine, moral, ethical considerations. But it's just getting people to do what you want them to do. You don't need to be an asshole to do that.
One of the last things I would say is that training meetings start with preparation. If you walk into the training meeting and you're actually doing, like trying to plan the training, you have failed. Again, I have a very specific agenda. It's 4 or 5 pages long, and I promise you it gets done in an hour, but it's actually very easy to write because I'm really only adding that one portion. Everything just gets rolled up. I just delete the last 30 and then just move everything up. But it keeps things flowing, and I can just rapid fire kind of these questions or these issues and make sure they're identified very efficiently. So planning. Make sure you're planning ahead of time. If you walk into this and try to figure it out in real time, it's going to be inefficient. Your soldiers are going to be aware, your leadership's going to be aware, and it's ultimately going to affect the accomplishment of your vision for your company.
I'm Sergeant First Class Colin Ruger. I am the Ops NCO for the 940th MP Company.
Staff Sergeant Joshua Webb, Unit Training NCO.
Specialist Haley Barwick. I am the 25 uniform of the 940th Military Police Company.
I've been in 20 years.
I've been in for 11 years.
Been in the military for 4 years.
Lieutenant Truex's training meetings are very informative. I like the way that he has them broken down. He gives each section, their time.
Training meeting that I attended was actually the first one I've been in.
As the training NCO, the training meeting is really it's the commander's baby, but it's mine as well.
I learned a lot. I know they're laying out exactly what's going on for the next several drills.
If we're doing roadblock and checkpoint operations, we're going to need trucks, we're going to need cones, we're going to need C-wire, we're going to need all these things. And then him going over that with everybody else kind of gives them an idea whether or not they have the things that they need to conduct their training. And then they can use that for future training.
He makes it very clear if there's an issue, if there's any sort of task that you're not certain about, come and ask him because he's going to line it out for you.
One central command running the meeting and bringing up each individual point to each individual section. And then the different sections offline can speak if they need to communicate with each other.
Having that face-to-face and being comfortable, being able to discuss anything, it's extremely helpful. Having a rapport with the commander helps out. And if you're comfortable talking to the commander, the others are going to see that you're comfortable, and they won't hesitate to ask him questions when it comes to training.
I found it very efficient and less time consuming.
All about structure, right? If he's doing a timer in the training meeting, he's doing it with structure. And if he does it in a training meeting, he's going to run a company with structure. And that's just it's putting emphasis on the fact that he has got this thought out. He's got it, we're going to do this by this time. He's got it all laid out. He knows exactly what he wants to accomplish and when he wants to accomplish it. And just having it in the training meeting, I think, shows that he's going to run the company that way as well.
Is that this is and should be one of the best times of your career in both positions, as the first sergeant and as the commander. I mean, this is as an enlisted, that's who do you look up to the most, especially when you come in? The first sergeant is that guy or woman that has been there and done everything. As an officer, and the reason I became an officer is because I wanted the responsibility of command, and this is why we do it, to be in command. So you have an awesome opportunity and exciting challenges ahead of you. That's great, and congratulations.